AEW was in Orlando tonight. I want to give a shout out to Rikinson, who had his Solomonster sign. I did see it. He wanted to know if I saw the sign. I did see it. It didn't get as much play as it did that time at Daly's Place when we got like a dead-on shot of it. But I did see Rikinson in the crowd tonight, so I thank you for that. I always like it when people represent the sound off at these shows. Unfortunately, there was not a whole lot of story represented on this show tonight. This was a show that was very light on any real significant story progression. It was strong on the in-ring aspect. I'll give them that. Hopefully next week we get a better balance between the two. I thought Dynamite last week was largely good, but there just wasn't a whole lot of real story to speak of. Some very basic stuff on the show. We got a bunch of good wrestling matches, though. MJF continues to scout the competition. The competition continues to mount, or I should say potential competition for the AEW World title. Another challenger has entered the chat. His name is Brody King, as the list continues to grow. Tonight, they were really promoting a first-time ever match between Kenny Omega and Josh Alexander. And for Josh Alexander, he has been publicly saying that this has been a dream match for him. This is a match that he's wanted for a very long time, going as far to say, or as far as to say, that I shouldn't say the only reason, but one of the big reasons he joined AEW was to get this match. He wanted to be able to work with Kenny Omega. And maybe it's a Canadian thing, I don't know, but he got his match tonight. And you would think that Kenny Omega in his first singles match in a while, his first match, I think, at all, in about a month, that would be the main event here on this show. And it was not the main event on this show. The main event of this show was Swerve Strickland, one-on-one against Kevin Knight. And having seen the match, I think they made the right choice because that match was the best thing on the entire show, even more so than Omega and Alexander. I look at Kevin Knight and I see someone who there's really no reason why he should not eventually be in that upper mix of young talents that people talk about here in AEW that includes people like Kyle Fletcher. He should end up being in that mix. He's very, very good. We have seen him have matches with some bigger names before, like Okada, like Darby Allin. Tonight it was Swerve. One thing I did not like, I love the main event. I thought it was a very good match. One thing I am not a fan of, though, is beating 2/3 of your trios champions after they had just won the titles this past weekend. So you beat Speedball, who lost to Samoa Joe, and you beat Kevin Knight, who lost in the main event to Swerve. And it almost doesn't even matter because that main event was set up to be like a star-making performance for Knight. And he came off like $1 million even in defeat. But I would not be beating 2/3 of the Trios champions after they just won the titles. Now, Hangman is going to have a match with Katsuyori Shibata on Collision this weekend. I think he's safe. I don't think we need to worry about Hangman losing that match on Collision. Something tells me he's going to be okay. But speaking of Collision, Collision was supposed to be live in Texas. I think they have a residency going on there. I don't think it'll be back at that esports arena, but that will not be happening. Collision this Saturday in Texas has been canceled. And they decided to instead tape Collision tonight. So tonight was not supposed to be a double taping of Live Dynamite then Collision, but that's what it ended up being. So as we speak right now, Collision is being taped. And the reason for this is bad weather. Bad weather is affecting a lot of different states, a lot of different places right now. AEW announced, due to impending weather conditions in the region, the Collision Live event, originally scheduled for this Saturday, January 24th at the Esports Stadium in Arlington, has been canceled. Impacted fans will receive an email with instructions for a refund within the next 24 to 48 hours. This week's Collision will now be taped tonight in Orlando after the conclusion of Dynamite and will air this Saturday. So apparently the Dallas Fort Worth area, or not Fort Worth, Dallas Arlington area, which is where this show is going to be. Apparently they're expecting anywhere from 6 inches to 8 inches of snow, which for that area is going to shut probably almost everything down. I mean, there might be some places where you look at 5 inches of snow or 8 inches of snow and you're like, nothing. But down there, it's not nothing. So there's a lot of things that are going to be canceled. There's a lot of things that are going to be rescheduled. Other events. I saw where the Masked Mania events from Masked Republic, they were supposed to run a couple of different events in Texas this weekend. Those events have already been postponed. So this is hardly just an AEW issue. And look, even here, apparently there's a big storm coming our way here in New York. I think this Sunday going into Monday. I don't know how bad it's supposed to be, but I look at the forecast and it's showing 95% chance of snow, coming our way. So fuck me. That's just what we need. So yeah, unfortunately, that was necessitated by the weather. It was out of AEW's control, but that is the update on that. But let's talk not about Collision. Let's talk about Dynamite. This is your AEW Dynamite review. It is Wednesday, January 21st, 2026. You know me. I am the Solomonster. If you don't know me, you must be new here. And maybe you are one of the 90,000 plus who are now subscribed here to this channel. If you are, I thank you. If you're not, you better change that real quick. There's a subscribe button. Make sure you hit it. And that way, notification bell is on. You will be notified when new content hits the channel when I go live, which is multiple times every week. I'll be live again on Friday. I'll be live again on Saturday for Saturday night's main event. So go ahead and subscribe. Super chats are open as well. If you want to support the channel, I sure do appreciate it. And I will be reading all of your messages. A little bit later on, you'll see them popping up on your screen here periodically as well. Like that one there from our friend Duff's Vids. It's going to be bad in New York. Great. I didn't see what the totals are supposed to be. So that sucks. Normally I would be at the ready to go ahead and clean my car off, but Sunday is sound off Sunday. I'll be a little preoccupied during the day. At least I don't have to go out. Now we do a little thing here. We just started doing this where we will take the wheel. Oh, fun. Here it is. We're going to take the wheel for a spin. And we do a little segment here at the end. We try to call Be the Booker. And only if we hit a certain number of likes live here on the stream. So we're going to take the wheel for a spin. And we're going to find out what the number of likes is that we are going to need. Or Be the Booker tonight. The Wheel of Fun is in progress. Oh, this is exciting. This is exciting. 350. That should be doable. 350 should be very doable. Usually it's 400. 350 likes minimum. We hit 350, we will be the booker later on here in the stream. Bash says it is in the mid-60s here in California. Good for you. I'm happy for you. Hey, Jake, what's going on, Jake? Per the Weather Channel, 9 to 15 inches of snow. 15 inches of snow? That better not be New York. Oh, my goodness. Anyway, KD, thank you for becoming a Sound Off superstar. You know the goal. I will leave that up to you guys. We kick things off here. Oh, I should mention that the former Baron Corbin, Bishop Dyer, wrestled in a dark match. Before Dynamite tonight, he was on the losing end of an 8-man tag team match. I don't know if that foretells what his future may be here, if he might do more work with AEW, but for at least one night, he worked a match in AEW. And Quiz says, yes, that is New York City, 14 to 15 inches of snow. That's great. So Taz is back. We haven't had Taz on the show here for a few months. I think he had a shoulder replacement, so that's why he's been missing. But he was back tonight with Tony Schiavone and Excalibur. I don't know if that means Bryan Danielson is done and is not coming back to do commentary. I hope he is. I know he had mentioned recently that traveling was actually really wearing on him with the neck, even just traveling. It was having some negative effects on his neck, so I can understand him maybe not being there every week. But I don't know. I don't know what that means week to week as far as his future on the show is concerned. But Tony Schiavone was in the ring, and he introduced the AEW World Champion MJF out to the ring to open the show. MJF immediately told Schiavone to shut his triple chin mouth, ran down the crowd, saying they're looking at a man who wears beautiful watches, custom suits, Burberry shoes. He rides in helicopters, limousines. He's got the baddest girl you've ever seen because he's the best wrestler on God's green earth. And if you see anyone else not named MJF claiming that they are the best of the best, change the channel. Same thing that is coming out of their mouth is what is coming out of their ass. I'm going to use that in the future, by the way. Last week, Bandito was the first of many losers to find out the hard way that 2026 is the year of the devil and no one is on his level. So the usual MJF stuff. But that brought out Bandito's tag team partner and good friend, Brody King. And before I go any further, I have to give a shout out. Wake up, everybody, because KD17 Burger just gifted 10. I said 10 channel memberships out of the kindness of his heart. And look at all these new channel members. Jeremy Rose and Sheep Taco Man. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. Sheep Taco Man is now a channel member. Emperor, Comet, and everybody else. KD, thank you, man. You're the man. You the man. I love it. I love seeing that. 10. Remember Sean Spears? 10. Remember when that was a thing for about 5 minutes? 10. So Brody King's music hits, and he makes his way to the ring. He's towering over MJF, and Schiavone wisely bails. Brody said that after what MJF did to Bandito, the only thing he could think of is all the ways that he wants to hurt him. He wants to rip out MJF's spine. That was like a Mortal Kombat game. But he's not going to do that. And MJF took a big sigh of relief. He's not going to do that because MJF is just a bitch. If King puts his hands on MJF, he won't get what he wants, which is a match. He wants a match tonight. And MJF said, it's an interesting proposition, but he's going to have to say no. Not because he's afraid, but he gets it. King barks, and the morons bark back. When MJF thinks of Brody King, one phrase comes to mind: all bark and no bite. On what grounds does King think he deserves a shot after beating a bunch of tomato cans the last few weeks? Until he beats elite talent, the match will not take place, and if King ever interrupts the champion again, he says, we're going to have and then he was starting to back down here from the big guy. He got barked at, and MJF bailed and headed to the back. And that was the end of that. So another challenger, another potential challenger here. We don't have a match set, but another challenger set up here for MJF on a list of growing challengers for the champion, which I like. And I've commented on this now for the last few weeks. One thing they're doing right now that I like is they have set up multiple different people. They've laid the groundwork here. And we've already had Bandito, who had his match. But beyond Bandito, we've had multiple people. Now the groundwork has been set for tons of championship matches that could take MJF into the summer. Swerve, Hangman, Kenny, right? Kenny's finally back in the world title picture. Brody King is obviously going to get a match at some point. And there's other people also, whether it's Darby, Ospreay, depending on when he comes back. There's so many different people that they could set up for the next 6 months if they want to. And I like that because, again, everything should revolve around that AEW World title. Like, that is the crown jewel of the company. And also, it would be nice to get MJF in the ring a little more often than we had in years past, where he's kind of made it part of his gimmick that you don't get to see him fight for free very often on TV. I'm not saying we need to see him in action every single week, but it'd be nice to see him in action a little bit more than usual. So we got a video package of Hangman Adam Page, Swerve Strickland, and Kenny Omega all making their claims of wanting to be the world champion. Page promised to take everything from Samoa Joe, and at that point they showed us highlights of their Big Trios title win from Collision this past Saturday. That was the send-off for one Powerhouse Hobbs, who was no longer a member of the AEW roster. There are rumors, no confirmation, that he is already under contract to WWE. I talked about him on the podcast this past weekend as far as where I believe he should land in WWE, whether it be NXT, the main roster. I talked about that on Sunday. He took the losing fall in that match, not Samoa Joe, but the Ops are no longer the Trios champions. So now we come backstage. Renee is with the new champs. Hangman said tonight is a night for celebration, and they should decide on a team name. Yeah, because this team got slapped together very quickly. There really was no forethought into it. There was no hint of it. It just, they became a team, and now they're the champs. So now they need a name. So Kevin Knight suggested Jet Set Rodeo. Now, whatever you may think of Jet Set Rodeo, it was a hell of a lot better than what Mike Bailey suggested. Because Speedball suggested Horsecock. But he got cut off by Hangman here as he was saying Horsecock. And Hangman said he tried that name before and it didn't work. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I'm not even going to ask. Hangman made a match between himself and Katsuyori Shibata for Collision and said that Jet Speed had a big night ahead of them tonight. Bailey told Kevin Knight, look, you got to focus on your match tonight with Swerve and let me take care of business with Samoa Joe. And off he went for the next match. It was Speedball Mike Bailey against Samoa Joe. We had Hook and Shibata. They made their way down the ramp not too long into this, and they ran distraction long enough for Joe to blast Bailey with a boot. That gave the Ops a chance to rough him up at ringside. Joe distracted referee Paul Turner, which is not very hard. I mean, you shine a light on the floor, and that's going to be enough to distract any of the referees here on this roster. So Bailey mounted a comeback right as things came back from a break. He connected on a big missile drop kick for the reset. We got a series of kicks by Joe, who avoided the running shooting star, but then Bailey avoided the running senton. Speedball quickly went up top. He hit the shooting star press. Joe kicked out. Both men fought out to the apron. Joe had his legs swept out, but he had Bailey crash and burn on the moonsault double knees that he attempted. Joe again took out the referee, not took out the referee. So that allowed Shibata to hit a suplex on the apron. As he hit the suplex on the apron, right on the edge, they both rolled off the apron to the floor. Shibata held on, though. Picked him up and suplexed him again, this time on the floor. And then he threw Bailey back inside. Joe crossed Bailey's knees. He dropped down into a knee breaker, locked in a heel hook, and Bailey was able to fight to the ropes. The crowd tried to get Bailey going with a "Let's go Horsecock" chant. This is a real thing that happened here on this show. Hey, Orlando, I'm looking at you. You're a little sus. I got my eye on you. Not Rican-san. Rican-san's all good. You got nothing to worry about. All the other folks down there in Florida. I think the sun has fried your brains. So Joe sank in another submission. Once more, though, Bayley made the ropes. Speedball clobbered Joe with a buzzsaw kick. He then hit the time adventure in the corner. He wanted the ultimate weapon, which is his big finish. Landed on his feet, though, because Joe wasn't even near him at that point. Joe had basically walked away. And Bayley on the landing kind of sold the bad leg that Joe was working on. Coquina clutch was applied. Bayley tried to kick off the turnbuckles into a flash pin. Joe kicked out. Bayley went up top. This time, Hook takes the referee, which allowed Shibata to grab Bayley's leg on top. Held him long enough for Joe to come over to cut him off, and Joe got him in position for the Muscle Buster for the win. So Joe gets his win back after the Ops lost their titles on Saturday. Look, the actual, the match portion that we got between these two was pretty good, but holy shit, with all of the interference here in this match. I mean, this was ridiculous, and it is inconceivable to me that as all of this is going on, and Shibata is out there, no less, that we did not have Hangman Adam Page come out to fight them off. I'm watching this, and I can't believe what I'm waiting, and I'm waiting, and there's nothing, and I can't believe, what I'm seeing here. And Kevin Knight, you can understand, I suppose, because he was told by Speedball, look, you got to go focus on your main event tonight. Stay focused on Swerve. I'll go out there and take care of business. Hangman is the one who has a match, though, with Shibata on Collision this weekend. I don't understand. How is he not running out there to go kick some ass? Inconceivable to me. Yeah, horsecock lives on, unfortunately. Let's hope that doesn't stick. Don't give them any t-shirt ideas now. Although honestly, given some of the horrible wrestling shirts that some of these companies have released over the years, wouldn't surprise me if we ended up with a shirt that had that written on it. So we had the Death Riders. Jon Moxley, Daniel Garcia, Wheeler Yuta. Now acting as baby faces. Wheeler Yuta as a baby face. Fans aren't completely buying it, though. Not with Yuta yet. Against the Don Callis family, Hechicero, Lance Archer, and Rocky Romero. The NWO C team of the Don Callis family. This was a street fight. Don Callis joined on commentary. He says that he knows a sociopath when he sees one. And Moxley is exactly that. So the family brings out weapons here for their entrance. Moxley, he bolted up towards Archer. And the fight was on. And the two of them brawled into the crowd. Yuta and Rocky Romero, Garcia and Hechicero, they kind of paired up at ringside. So Garcia placed a trash can on Hechicero's leg. And he's stomping on it repeatedly. He's stomping on it, and he applies an ankle lock. And this is all taking place in the aisleway. Again, it's not a long aisleway, but they're in the aisleway. And he gets the ankle lock applied. And Hechicero begins tapping out like a madman. This is not he's tapping out. And the referee is standing right there. Now, the referee is looking at this. And he's going like a referee would do if he was asking somebody, do you want to quit? Do you submit? Right? It's not like he's telling them, hey, you got to get it in the ring. You got to get it in the ring. The referee is literally standing right there. And Hechicero, clear as day, is tapping out. And nothing happens. And so I would say maybe not even a minute goes by. Because I'm waiting to see if somebody is going to say something here. And finally, Taz can wait no longer. And Taz says he tapped out. And then Tony Schiavone chimes in and tried to explain it away by saying, well, the referee clearly didn't see it. The referee did not see the tap out, even though the fucking referee was literally standing right there watching it happen. Now, unless the referees in AEW are considered legally blind, There is no way the referee did not see this. So if they were trying to explain it away, they did a very poor, or Tony Schiavone anyway, did a very poor job of doing so. So a couple of minutes later, they had, all of a sudden we hear the announcer, it might have been Excalibur, but we hear the announcers say that this is not Falls Count Anywhere, and so you have to win the match inside the ring. Would have been nice to communicate that to your announcers prior to the match. So after a break, Yuta was lying motionless on the floor as Hechicero and Rocky Romero, they hit a double drop kick with a trash can over Garcia's head. Moxley fought off all three men briefly until the numbers just became too much, and Archer placed a table in the ring. Marina Shafir stepped into the ring, though, and she stepped up to Lance Archer because she has bigger balls than some of the men do in this company. No fear. And he tried to choke slam. He grabbed her. He was going to choke slam her. In mid-choke slam, Shafir got him in a triangle choke. So she's choking him, and and then she picks the ankle. And this allows Moxley to fly in with a cutter. Archer sidestepped a charging Moxley, who then put on the brakes, only to be driven through the table that was propped up in the corner. Yes. Tuxedo T. Servo says, I'm legally blind and I saw it. That's pretty bad. If he saw it, then you know it's bad. DB, dumb babyface syndrome comes in many forms. Oh, these referees ceased being baby faces a long time ago. Garcia returned, and for some reason he tried a chokeslam on Lance Archer, who no-sold it as he should have. He charges, Garcia moves, Archer eats a Busaiku knee from Wheeler Yuta, and a leg sweep from Garcia. Moxley tossed a barbed wire board covered in broken glass into the ring, because of course he did. Rocky Romero applied a guillotine on Moxley, who tried a suplex. Romero kneed his way out of it, which allowed Archer to hit a huge chokeslam to Moxley onto the barbed wire. And the glass and the tacks and whatever else was in there. I didn't see any hypodermic needles or anything, but whatever was in there, he got slammed onto it. And as soon as he sat up, you could see the blood is pouring down Moxley's back, and there's tack stuck in his back. So basically, it's another Wednesday night. Archer wiped out Yuta and Garcia with a cannonball off the apron. He brought Yuta up the ramp, and he was looking for a chokeslam off the ramp. Now, I should just caution you here. The ramp, not very high. I would say 2 to 3 feet max from the top of the stage to the ground. So we're not talking about a long way to fall. But he's going to chokeslam this man. And all of a sudden, Pac comes out. And he's limping. He's got a crutch. He's basically, I hope he's selling the injury from the match with Darby Allin, where Darby was, working over his ankle and his leg. So he comes out with a crutch, and he smacks Archer with it. Archer, he doesn't fall down from the stage so much as he just sort of steps down. So now he's on the floor, and we see in the background, Claudio Castagnoli, he sprints out. And Pac still has his back turned, and he's kind of holding the crutch like this, like holding it out in the air. Claudio comes sprinting out from the back, grabs the crutch in mid-sprint, jumps off the stage, or the ramp, and absolutely just wrecks him with a shot with this crutch. He broke the crutch over Archer's back. Then he knocked Archer into an electrical box, which caused sparks to fly. Hechicero tried to make the save. Marina Shafir caught him with a low blow. Yuta flew in with another Busaiku knee. In the ring, Moxley had Rocky Romero trapped in a bulldog choke, but Romero rolled out, only for Garcia to meet him with a pile driver. And then Garcia put him in a dragon tamer. At the same time, Moxley comes off the ropes, stomps Rocky. Rocky's out, and that's it. The Death Riders pick up the win. After the match, Moxley, with his back bleeding, is standing over by the announce desk, and right up in Don Callis', and Don Callis is sitting down, but he's right next to Don Callis. And Marina Shafir is holding a microphone up for him. And Moxley tells Callis, tell your boy that he knows where to find me. And Moxley, with his back still full of tacks, all bloody, goes back through the crowd from whence he came, and the Death Riders follow him. You mind narrowing things down a little bit, Mox? Because we got a lot of members here of this family. By my count, about 27 members of the Don Callis family. He could be referring to literally anyone in this family. Now, I'm going to assume that he's referring to Okada, but that's just a guess on my part. You're going to have to narrow it down a little bit. Your boy is not specific enough. The barbed wire and the glass shit, it wasn't needed here. It didn't even factor into the fucking finish of the match. So it was unnecessary. It's unnecessary 75% of the time in this company. But if their goal is to get the Death Riders cheered, and not just Jon Moxley, who's already being cheered and already basically being portrayed as a babyface anyway. But as far as like the group in its entirety, it's smart to, sort of pair them off against the Don Callis family. One thing that they're going to have to do, and this is just for me as a viewer, because they gave Garcia the win here. And I can't remember the last time Daniel Garcia really won any sort of significant match or picked up any real significant win. So for him, it's good. What they're going to have to start doing is highlighting some of the other members of this group and getting me to give a shit about them. Moxley is the one where they've been trying to tell a story, like with the Continental Classic and everything else. And he's cutting these babyface promos. And even Marina Shafir. Marina Shafir's been involved in a lot of shit. And, her character, I think you saw it tonight even in the match when she got in the ring face to chest with Lance Archer and the fans were cheering. Or the stuff with her and Roddy when they were doing the intergender stuff a few weeks ago. Moxley and Marina Shafir are really the only ones who are being focused on in any meaningful way. And so some of these lesser members of the group, if they're going to continue to be a group, they need to do something with them beyond just what they're doing, because I find it incredibly difficult to give two solitary shits about anything the other members of this group are doing. So that's something that hopefully they'll work on and maybe try to flesh things out a little bit more with their characters. I don't know, but there's clearly a much heavier focus on Moxley and Marina than there is every other person of this Death Riders faction. At some point, if they're going to keep them together, it would be nice to put some shine on some of the other names. Now, Tekla was backstage. Tekla. She was backstage with the Sisters of Sin. She said that she will give Chris Statlander 1 week to spend with her title and her loved ones before taking it from her. Sky Blue said that there's always room for more, as Julia Hart challenges Willow Nightingale for the TBS title this Saturday on Collision. Sky Blue said that it's the year of Toxic. Well, tell that to Kit Wilson. He ain't going to like hearing about that. He's trying to fight off toxic masculinity. He doesn't want to hear that. And Tekla said that if you like the taste of toxic, drown in it. And she spat at the camera. Had to wipe it off of her lip. She spat at the camera, which is kind of gross. But there's probably a lot of people out there who would pay good money to watch her and other people doing that. In fact, there's probably many multimillionaires now just off of OnlyFans for content like that. So, look, they come in all kinds. Next up, we had the AEW Tag Team Champions. We had FTR in a non-title match against the newest additions to the roster. And, wait, hold on, what's that? You in the back. You got your hand raised. Yeah. You had a question. What was your question? I see. You want me to narrow it down and tell you which new member of the roster? Okay, I got it. Thank you for the question. You can sit down now and zip up your pants. So yes, I should probably narrow it down for you because there have been a lot of new additions to this roster. It's not enough for me to say the newest additions to the AEW roster. Tony Khan last week, I think he added 6 or 7 different fucking people to this roster. The roster members specifically that I'm referring to are Alec Price and Jordan Oliver. Busta and the Brain from the independent scene, a fine tag team two fine young gentlemen who are now officially all elite. Alec Price challenged MJF for the AEW World title at the Limitless Wrestling show last week, and when the match was over, it was MJF who went over to them and basically said, guess what? You have contracts now, per Tony Khan, that belong to you. You two guys now are now all elite. So this was their AEW Dynamite debut. And they were wrestling the tag team champions, of course, non-title. Stokely Hathaway, though, was already seated at ringside in his wheelchair. He's still injured after all of these weeks, after that hilarious table bump that he took at the, what was it, the last pay-per-view. It was a World's End, right? I think it was World's End. So he's sitting there and he's got a mic in his hand and he asks everybody to visit his new website, helpbigstoke.com. And he asks all the fans out there to donate what they can to help with, of course, his devastating injuries here. So Tony Schiavone tells everybody on commentary, he tells them, don't go to the website and do not donate to this man. He goes, this whole thing is a scam. Well, guess what? We're not going to listen to Tony Schiavone because I'm curious and I would like to go on this website and I would like to check this website out and see what's going on. So that's what we're going to do right now. So let us check out Stokely Hathaway's website. And when you go there, this image is what you were greeted with. There's Stokely in his wheelchair, and it says, help Big Stoke. Now, there's a little message here. It says, Big Stoke needs your help. He has been the victim of multiple assaults and unbridled hate. As a result, Big Stoke finds himself in a situation that no one should have to face. Won't you find it in your heart to help? There's a little section here that says how your donations are used. It says information coming soon. Let's see here. Scroll down and see what we got here. Oh, wow. Look at this. Look at this. Money donated so far. $1,024,178.12. This guy's a fucking millionaire already. That was a video. There's an actual video here. A message from Big Stoke. Let's take a look at this.
Thank you for visiting this website and deciding to help out your boy. Any donation, small or large, hopefully large, will go towards the greatest cause in humanity, and that is me, Big Stoke. Peace, love, and soul. Yeah, DoorDash. Yeah, that's me. Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Ah, the DoorDash guy. There you go. He didn't say what he was eating. Well, there it is. I mean, you just heard from the man himself. Poor Stokely. Yeah, poor Stokely. So there it is. So if you would like to donate, I guess, I don't know. I don't even know if this works. Should I click this link and see? It says donate now. Help Big Stoke. Let's see if this works. It does not work. It says, oops, something went wrong. Other ways to help. And then it links to 2 of his t-shirts that I assume will take you to shopaew.com. I don't know. But anyway, so there it is. That's Stokely Hathaway's website. Now he was not in a wheelchair in that video, right? Did not look like he was in the wheelchair. Interesting observation there. I would help the guy anyway. Now you know where to go if you would like to do so. So here we go. Excalibur, he put over Oliver and Price's accomplishments on the independent scene. Tony Schiavone talked about knowing Jordan Oliver, since he was 19 years old. He still looks like he's 19 years old. To be honest here. I mean, oh man. But if you've never seen them before, they are both very talented. They are both very talented. They got a series of drop kicks on both members of FTR, forced the champions outside the ring to regroup. And Oliver and Price hit double tope suicidas. And on the opposite side of the ring, Alec Price cleared the top with a huge dive out to the floor. Back inside, Wheeler ate a double stomp off the top by Oliver as Price made the tag, only to be turned inside out with a lariat, which led to FTR keeping Price isolated. This was brief. As Oliver made a tag, he sent FTR reeling until Dax Harwood fired off a lariat that turned Oliver inside out. Harwood lit up Oliver with a just chop after chop after chop. FTR wanted a powerplex. In the middle of their attempt, Price hit a springboard Hurricane Rana that brought down Cash Wheeler before he could leap for the splash. Oliver fell on top of Harwood on the superplex attempt. He got a close 2 count out of it. So then Price and Wheeler, they fought on... Price and Wheeler. Sounds like 2 toy companies. I don't know what made me just think of that. Price and Wheeler fought on the apron briefly. Oliver was sent outside by Harwood, and Alec Price missed a springboard. Harwood caught a kick, and he flipped him over onto his feet, and they planted him at that point with the Shatter Machine to put an end to things. This was a sprint here. Only 5 minutes this match went. They tried to fit a lot into those 5 minutes. I thought they gave Oliver and Price, as much as you can in 5 minutes here against the champions, who are not going to be dominated in this match, nor should they be. But they gave them some time to shine, probably more than you would expect. Again, it was hardly a squash match. It wasn't anything like that. But FTR are the ones who were defending their tag team titles next week against Mark Davis and Jake Doyle. So this was kind of a warm-up match. Let's just call it what it was. It was a warm-up for them. But they just used it as a way to get Oliver and Price on television here their first week in. I question how often we will be seeing them on this show. Probably not very often, if at all, going forward. I would imagine the majority of the time that we do see these men, it will be on Collision and possibly Ring of Honor, because I could see Tony wanting to utilize them for the Ring of Honor brand more so than using them on Dynamite. Because he's already got plenty of people that he's got to feature on Dynamite as it is. So after this, we had our first time ever match. Kenny Omega and Josh Alexander. Alexander has said that wrestling Omega is one of the reasons he signed with AEW. This is what he said to Busted Open Radio. I've been chasing this match for the past 10 years. I've followed his career from DDT through New Japan, everything he's done. Like, I was at Ring of Honor shows in Markham, Ontario, watching this guy wrestle in the early 2010s and stuff like that. I think he's been amazing. And as a Canadian wrestler, I look at other Canadian wrestlers as I am following in their footsteps. I idolize the Bret Harts, the Owens, all these people, the Edges, the Christians, and I think Kenny Omega is just another in that lineage of great Canadian wrestlers that have gone on to, or gone out into the world and made a name for themselves. So clearly he thinks very highly of Kenny Omega. He was probably marking out on the inside this entire time. So this match meant a lot to him. And apparently he was so excited he could not wait for Kenny to finish his entrance because he was barely down the aisle and Alexander came out and attacked him from behind. And he slammed him into the ring steps. He pulled up some of the floor mats to expose the concrete. Omega fought back. He hit a suplex before following up with a slingshot crossbody. Omega wanted a Terminator dive early in the match. He got cut off, though. And Alexander sidestepped. He flattened Omega with the World's Strongest Slam, but on the apron. After a break, they went to the floor where Alexander wanted a body slam onto the exposed concrete from earlier. Omega, though, slid out. He posted Alexander, and he hit his Terminator, or he hit a Snapdragon, rather. And then he hit the Terminator dive. In landing the dive, though, he landed in such a way where his lower back, it looked like it smacked the exposed concrete from the mats that were pulled up. So, yeah, that didn't look like a very fun landing for Omega. Now, he got up, he walked it off, he seemed to be okay. But for a guy who has talked about how beat up he's been, when you see him take a dive and land in that way, you just kind of cringe and hope for the best. And, he seemed to be okay. He brought Alexander back inside for a missile drop kick in the corner, signaled for a V-trigger. Alexander, though, met him with an enziguri. So Alexander wanted a suplex. Omega fell over the top with him he went for it's basically the Dynamite Kid Bret Hart spot from Stampede. The suplex out over the top. Both men go flying over. It's a dangerous spot. There's always going to be danger involved when you're fucking flying over the top rope like that, and some guy might land on your head. So they take a tumble out to the floor outside. Omega then repeatedly slams Alexander's face onto the top part of the announce desk And then he chases Don Callis off because Callis had gotten up. He was like, what are you doing? What's he going to do? Omega chased him off into the crowd. So Omega comes back to ringside. That little delay allowed Alexander to grab an ankle lock. And he's smashing the ankle on the apron before hitting a dragon screw through the ropes. Callis at this point was back safely on commentary. Omega came back, though, with a V-trigger and a power bomb, and then hit the one-winged angel to put Alexander away once and for all. And they showed MJF was watching backstage. I think they showed MJF earlier as well during the Speedball match. But they showed him backstage watching Kenny's match. So Omega took the microphone after he said that Callis struck while the iron was hot. He struck when he wasn't 100%. But he's happy to report here in his new home of Orlando, and everybody cheered. And he goes, yes, I now actually live here. He admits that this is as good as he has felt in years. Because there's not a member of the Callis family who I cannot beat. And I just thought, dude, you lost to Okada in Texas a few months ago. Have we forgotten? But there's not a member of the Callis family that I cannot beat. So Callis can try to beat him now, or you can lick your wounds and wait until I win the World Heavyweight Championship. So it was a good match. Again, I know this was a dream match for Alexander. I didn't think it was any more special than any other of the good matches that we've gotten of late on Dynamite. There really was nothing about this one that stands out. It was good. Yeah, I can't really say any more than that. I'm sure for him it was a dream match. Didn't really come off that way. But they delivered a good one here. And the thing is, it gets Omega back now into the win column as a single star. He has not wrestled in about a month. And he said, the promo he cut, was it last week, the week before? I'm going to work my way up. I'm going to earn the right to challenge to win back the World Championship. But he's got to rack up some wins first. So he beat Josh Alexander, and Josh Alexander is a former TNA World Heavyweight Champion. Josh Alexander is a great wrestler, but Josh Alexander has not been protected in any meaningful way like some of the other members have of the Callis family. So he's been, he's eaten losses before. There's nothing about Josh Alexander that beating him means, oh, well, it's a huge win for Kenny Omega. It didn't really come off that way, but it's a win, and Kenny will continue to rack up wins in the months to come. I'll talk more about Kenny and when I think he should get his title match a little bit later on. But I hope what Kenny said in the promo here about how this is as good as he has felt in a very long time. He said, as good as I felt in years. I hope so. I hope that's a shoot. I hope that wasn't just the line here for a promo because, again, he's been beaten up. I think Tony Khan has tried to protect him by not having him have these really kind of hard-fought, tough, long singles matches, which I've been missing. There's so many guys that he could work with on that roster and have kick-ass matches with. But if they've been trying to hold him back a little bit, to let him heal up, that's fine. If that's how he feels, that's great news. Because a healthy Kenny Omega is going to be a huge asset for Tony Khan on that roster. He's back. KD is back with another 10. Look at this guy, 10 gifted memberships. Yet again. Courtesy of our boy KD. Clint Hardy, Lord of Dogtown. These are some of our new members here now. Smell the glove. I hope that's not a proctologist saying that. I don't know why I said that. That would be very creepy. And Connor McFaddy, among others. Welcome to the wonderful world of membership. And KD, thank you very much. Again, we spun the wheel earlier just to remind everybody, 350 likes is what we need here for Be the Booker. So we're at 271. We got some work to do on that. But 350 is the goal if we're going to do that a little bit later on. We got the return of an old segment, an old favorite here on Dynamite. The return of Technique by Taz, now that Taz is back. And this time it was a video with him breaking down how MJF was able to successfully defend his AEW World Championship against Bandito last week. I like these. It's 2 minutes. It's something different. And it highlights, one of the things that Taz is very good at, which is breaking down stuff like that. So I like it. Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford against Timeless Toni Storm and Mina Shirakawa. Ford was back in action actually on Collision this past week. That was her first match in many months, and it was a surprise to me because the original diagnosis when she hurt her arm, which was back before Blood and Guts, and this was only a couple months ago, was that she was going to miss a pretty significant, or potentially miss a pretty significant portion of 2026. So it's January 21st, and she's already 2 matches deep, which is good. So early in the match, Bayne hoisted... This was not good. This spot here was not good. Megan Bayne hoisted up Mina Shirakawa and tried to launch her. She was going to launch her onto Toni Storm, who was standing outside the ring. And unfortunately, she completely overshot Toni Storm. And Mina splatted on the ground outside. And Toni immediately crawled over to check on her partner and make sure that she was okay and that she was alive. You know what that reminded me of? It reminded me of the main event back in '88. The night that Hogan lost the championship to Andre, the evil twin Hebner angle. And Hulk Hogan pressing Earl Hebner over his head. And he was supposed to press them and charge and throw him. And he was going to be caught on the way down. Or if not caught, they would cushion the fall, I guess. DiBiase and Andre. Fucking Andre the Giant is standing there, okay? Now, I know at this point Andre could barely fucking move. And they love to talk about, 7'4", 7'4". I don't think he wouldn't be 7'4" if he stood on the fucking phone book back then. Okay, big as he was. But still, Andre legit was probably, 6'10". Let's be generous and say he was 7 feet. Hogan overshot a 7-foot tall man, and he threw Earl Hebner so hard and so far that he overshot all of them, and he landed on that fucking aisleway, and he splatted on the ground. Oh, poor Earl. Actually, I shouldn't say poor Earl, because there was a kick to the ribs that Earl gave Dave, his brother, when the big reveal happened that we had an evil twin. Which one's evil, right? And he kicks his brother in the rib cage, and supposedly he actually broke his brother's ribs. So I guess, look, what goes around comes around. But Mina was okay. Later on, Storm got a hot tag. Ford got folded up with a snap German, and then some sweet chic music to follow. After a Mongolian chop from Toni, the love bomb sent Bayne and Ford flying with double hip attacks before an assisted dive by Shirakawa took out the pile. Storm sent Ford up for a Mina sling blade off the top as Bayne broke the count, and then she threw Toni Storm outside. So at this point, the match broke down. Everyone was trading shots, including Penelope Ford hitting Toni Storm with a cutter. Mina took out Ford with a spinning back fist. And she wanted the figure 4 leg lock. She took too long, though. And Bayne flew in with a lariat. Bayne placed Shirakawa on her shoulders. Ford then went to hit the Doomsday device. She made the cover. Marina Shafir hopped the barricade outside. She showed up. And she had Toni Storm in mother's milk. She had Toni's face in her breasts, in her bosom. And was... the move. It's mother's milk. I mean, that's what it is. So as she's applying that, Ford pinned Mina in the ring to get the win. Death, taxes, and Mina Shirakawa eating the pin. It's like the circle of life. Somewhat of an upset. You could call this potentially an upset because Penelope Ford here got the pin, but that should put her and Megan Bayne now in contention, you would think, for the women's tag team titles, although I don't know how Marina Shafir fits into all this. The team before was Marina Shafir and Megan Bayne, but now Bayne is back together with Penelope Ford, and Marina Shafir is still coming out here and kind of assisting and getting involved in their business here. So, I don't know. But they should be getting tag team title opportunity very soon. Shout out to KD with another 5 channel. Man, he's on a roll tonight. That's 25 channel memberships so far. Gifted by KD17 Burger. Warhawk Rambo, Edward Brooks, Cosmic Stoic, and John Smith. Can't forget Taka Michinoku's top row. Oh, I have not forgotten Taka Michinoku's elimination, being thrown out of the ring at that Royal Rumble 2000. Yeah, that was a bad landing. Oh my goodness. That may be Asuka eliminating Kairi Sane at the Royal Rumble. She may take a Taka bump out of the ring to the floor. So the main event, the best thing on the entire show, we get to talk about it right now because it was Swerve Strickland one-on-one against Kevin Knight. Now, Swerve dedicated this match, we were told, to the memory of his good friend and producer, Prophet the producer. His real name is Tobias Smith, who recently passed away. He was the one responsible, really, for both of Swerve's AEW entrance songs, for producing both of them, including his new one. He was the man responsible. I don't know what happened. He was just backstage at Dynamite. Based on his social media, he was just backstage only a few weeks ago. So I don't know what happened, but condolences to Swerve and all of his friends. That's very sad. They also showed MJF sitting up in a suite with bottle service, getting a close look at this match. So there was a reverse torture rack backbreaker from Strickland that put him in control. Knight started firing off some shots, which led to a snap suplex for the reset. Knight managed to leapfrog to avoid a back fist, following with a leaping lariat. Knight missed the rolling frog splash, allowing Strickland to hit his rolling flatliner. Then Strickland called for the house call kick. Knight dodged it, successfully hit the leaping frog splash, though, for a 2 count. Strickland hung up Knight on the top. He followed with a big boot. He attempted a superplex. Knight, though, flipped out into a sunset bomb and a rolling DDT for a close 2 count. So they showed MJF again up in the suite, and he's basically standing up now, and he's signaling to Kevin Knight, like, finish this, put this guy away, and take out Swerve. So both men fought out to the apron. Knight wanted another DDT. Strickland, though, caught and spiked him with a DVD on the edge of the ring. Strickland put the brakes on instead of tossing Knight back inside. He thought about putting him back in the ring, but he put the brakes on, and instead he climbs on top of the barricade. And the barricade has, I think it had the kind of the padded top on it, but he's standing on top of the barricade. He's got Kevin Knight, and he sets him up for a pile driver, and he pile drives him on the top part of the barricade, right, which is pretty narrow. And I can't say that I've ever seen a pile driver spot on top of the barricade before like that, but we got it here. Knight just narrowly was able to make it back in before the count of 9, or at the 9 count, I guess, before 10. He rolled right into position, though, where Strickland hit a 450 splash to the back before sinking in a dragon sleeper. Knight, though, fought to his feet, and Strickland brought him up to the corner. And so they're both on top now, and they're both jockeying for position. I don't know what they're trying for, what they're going for, but the fans are chanting, "Please be careful. Please be careful." That's what I say every time I watch this show. Every time I watch a Darby Allin match, I'm saying the same thing. Please don't die. So ultimately, Knight managed a Hurricane Rana that took Swerve off the top, which then led to a coast-to-coast that he delivered, and then a UFO splash. Strickland, though, was able to get his foot on the bottom rope just before the 3 count on the pin attempt, so that saved the match. Strickland got to his knees, and he's smiling. And Knight hit a house call kick before trying a fireman's carry. Strickland, though, floated out. We got dueling pump knees here from both these men. Both men hit the ropes. Knight flew in for a lariat, but at the same time, Strickland hit the house call in mid-air. And Strickland then connected on a vertebreaker. Probably the safest vertebreaker landing I've ever seen. And finally, big pressure, and Swerve picks up the win, although Knight did not make it easy for him. Great main event. This was just a great wrestling match here. They had the crowd biting on a lot of those near falls. Crowd was invested in this match. And even in defeat. And again, I'm not a fan of beating 2/3 of the trios champions, especially a few days after they just won the belts and you're trying to establish them in that role. And yet Jet Speed goes out there in separate matches on this show and gets beat. But in this situation, Knight, he won more than he lost in defeat. Even in defeat, he won in many ways because he was the star of this match. Swerve more than held up his end. Swerve was out there doing what Swerve does, but Knight came across here, I felt like, as much of a star as he has probably in any other match he's had, honestly. In AEW so far, he's got big wins now over Darby Allin and Okada, right, in the Continental Classic. And now he's got a main event here on Dynamite. Not a win, but a main event match against a former AEW World Champion. And a win that I guess Swerve can kind of hang over his head, and maybe it's something they could revisit at some point down the road. But what this was MJF in the crowd scouting his competition. And right now his competition is not Kevin Knight. His competition is Swerve Strickland. And that's really what this match was all about and what the purpose of having MJF out there was for. He wasn't scouting Kevin Knight so much as he was scouting Swerve Strickland. We still got no hints on this show, though, about who MJF's next challenger is going to be at the pay-per-view. Revolution is coming up, but not until March 15th. That's the next pay-per-view, but we're 7 weeks out. So I think we're going to get the slow walk for the next, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 weeks. It could be that long before we know for sure, what that Revolution main event is going to look like and who he's going to be defending against on that show. We still have some time. Now, obviously, it looks like we're going to get a TV defense very soon. Not next week, but we're going to get a TV defense against Brody King. And that's a match they absolutely should be doing. No reason not to do that. I would hold off on the Kenny Omega match, though, for a while. And I've talked about this before. I think going to it at Revolution, that would be the easy thing to do. I think it's too soon. And from what I saw, last I checked WrestleTix, they're selling pretty damn well pay-per-view. And then when it comes to Revolution, so looking at that March 15th show, you could do the match with Swerve Strickland on that show because remember, that match, we've not seen a singles match between those two. We've seen them in like the 4-way, for example, at World's End. We have not seen Swerve Strickland and MJF one-on-one. So you could do that match at Revolution, or there's another idea. You could do Swerve against Hangman. It's been a while since we've seen them against each other. You could do Swerve and Hangman at Revolution, and the winner of that match gets MJF in a title shot at Dynasty. Dynasty is the show where Swerve won the championship a few years ago. So you could do that, and then MJF would just have to defend against somebody else at Revolution. But yeah, as I look ahead and the matches that they can do and when to do them, that's kind of how I, in my head, would kind of map things out. But definitely hold off on the Omega match for a while. Again, not a lot of real story progression here on this show this week, but we got some good matches. I just hope we get a better balance between the two on next week's show. But I'll tell you what, though, if you want a shit ton of wrestling matches on your 2-hour wrestling show crammed into 2 hours, then I got news for you. Collision is the show for you this weekend because at this moment, we have 7 matches announced for Collision, which is already, I guess, taped. I guess the show's already taped. And here's the show as it is listed right now. Claudio Castagnoli is going to defend the CMLL World Heavyweight Championship against Roderick Strong. Willow Nightingale is going to defend the TBS title against Julia Hart. Andrade is facing Magnus from CMLL. Hangman Adam Page faces Katsuyori Shibata. Mark Davis and Jake Doyle will be in action against who we don't know. Proto Shida, that's Kyle Fletcher and Konosuke Takeshita, wrestling Billy and Austin Gunn. And Chris Statlander will take on Isla Dawn. This will be a TBS title eliminator match. It's a lot of matches on that 2-hour show. And I suspect, again, not a lot of story progression there, but if you're all about the matches, that'll be the show for you this weekend. What did you think of Dynamite from Orlando? Let's go to the poll and find out. Not great. 47% thumbs up, 16.3% thumbs in the middle, and about 37% thumbs down for tonight's show. And that's sub 500 votes so far. It's a slow night. It's a slow night, but that's been the case a lot with Dynamite of late. But anyway, if you want to vote in the poll, there you go, at Solomonster on X. We are under 50% thumbs up for Dynamite so far. We'll see if that changes. That is the result so far. There you go. And now let's throw it to you guys. And go through your super chats. Hey, Duff's Vids is with us. Says, I missed the episode, he said. Well, all you need is a review. I got you covered here. We're at 315 likes, so 350 is what we spun for earlier. We hit 350, we'll do Be the Booker. If we don't, then we won't. Joseph Stewart, happy Wednesday, brother. Always good to see Joseph. We missed you. Missed you on Monday, Joseph. Says, did you see the teaser to the Masters of the Universe movie this morning online? I did. Yes, I did. I saw the it's just a teaser. They're going to drop the full trailer tomorrow, and I'm actually very much looking forward to seeing what that looks like. As someone who grew up, I was a He-Man kid, and I saw the original live-action movie in '87, I guess, when it came out, which wasn't great, but still, it was a movie I saw many times as a kid. I'm looking forward to seeing what they have in store here. I'm a little worried. But we'll see the trailer tomorrow, and we'll see how it looks. So what 5 things would you like to see in the Masters of the Universe movie? 5 things? Well, I mean, one of them is an actual scary Skeletor. Skeletor is fucking awesome. I want an actual scary Skeletor in the movie. 5 things I'd like to see in a Masters of the Universe movie. Orko. I want to see Orko. Orko the Magician. I want to see him in the movie. You know, when I was a kid, there were a lot of He-Man related toys and stuff, and they sold, and I don't know if it was part of maybe like a larger set or something, but they had an Orko coin holder, like a little thing, and you could fit coins in there. I don't know if it was only pennies or I don't know. I used to call it my Orko penny holder. And then one day I lost it behind the washing machine. The evil washing machine. And we even moved the washing machine, but it was never found. I lost my Orko coin holder, and it was never to be seen again. And I never forgot about that. I always wanted my Orko coin holder back, and it's bothered me to this very day. It's terrible. So anyway, hopefully we get to see Orko in the movie. I guess I'll throw in Ram Man. It'd be nice to see Ram Man and Battle Cat. I'm sure we'll see Battle Cat. I think we saw Battle Cat in the teaser. So anyway, there you go. Would you like to see Liv and Dom together? Yeah, it is tragic. Thank you. It was tragic. I haven't forgotten about it all these years later. It still bothers me. I have no idea where that coin holder went. It was this yellow coin holder on the front of it. I don't even know if it had if it closed, if it had a back to it. But I just know like the cover of it, I don't know, maybe it was 1.5 inches, 2 inches, but it had a picture of Orko on there. That was the official coin holder. It was made in 1983. That's when it was made. Man. Would you like to see Liv and Dom together in AEW? No. Do you know why Nick Wayne and Mama Wayne have not been on AEW television in a while? I'm assuming it's because Nick Wayne took a lot longer than they expected to heal up from that foot injury. He's still, I think, the Ring of Honor television champion. I'm surprised Toni didn't make an interim title for him, like he does everybody else. But probably he wasn't expecting him to be out this long. He says, what is your favorite WWF magazine cover? That's a good question. My favorite magazine cover would be the February 1992 issue. And the reason I remember that is because that was the first one I ever bought. I actually used to have a subscription to WWF magazine. It started in February of 92. So that was the first one I got. And it was a picture of Ric Flair sitting in a director's chair. His back was turned, but he turned to like face the camera. But he's sitting in like a director's chair. And when I met Flair, I met him and Bret Hart both made an appearance at Caroline's on Broadway Comedy Club in New York City, in Manhattan. So I went to that event. So I got both of their autographs at that event. Didn't get photos, but I got, I have photos of the event, but not like with them. But I had a WWF Spotlight magazine with Bret Hart on the cover. I had him sign that, which I have framed. And then I had the very first WWF magazine with Flair on the cover, and it's signed by him, and I have that framed as well. So I would have to go with that one as my favorite. I think the one the following month, I think it was March of 92, it had Flair with the Winged Eagle title, and like behind him, like all lined up, Hogan, Savage, Piper, Sid, Undertaker. So this would have been around the time they were deciding on who his challenger would be, for WrestleMania. I thought that was a cool cover. And you know what? I'll say the one, I want to say it was from 97. There was a cover that had Bret Hart and Bart Simpson. I'll throw that one in there. Why did Macho Man change his look when he came back to WCW in 1999? I wish I knew. I hate that version of Savage. When he started getting on the gas and doing whatever the fuck it was that he was doing and pumping himself full of God knows what, like he came back, he was unnaturally large. Like when you get older, you're not supposed to get like absurdly bigger like that. And it affected his mobility, and his matches were not nearly as good. And I try to block out that like late era version of Macho Man, because that's not the version of Randy Savage that I was a fan of. I don't know what that was. That was like midlife crisis Randy Savage. Did I own any WCW magazines? Not a one. Not a single one. When do you think Edge and Christian will return to AEW television? I have no fucking idea. I would assume they would be back in time to wrestle FTR at Revolution. So if that's the case, we'll have to get them back on TV in the next few weeks, sometime next month. I'll say sometime in February. Are you a fan of the Ghostbusters song? I don't think I could be friends with anybody who isn't. If you don't know the lyrics to the Ghostbusters song, then I think less of you. If you were Wolverine, who would you be with? Storm or Rogue? Storm. I'm reading rumors that Robin might be in the Batman Part 2. Well, I'm going to rely on you for all my Batman Part 2 rumors, because I know you're very in touch with what's going on with that movie, and I still haven't seen the first Batman, so I do hope to watch it before the second one comes out. I've got that on my watch list. Did you know that Robert Redford almost played Michael Corleone in The Godfather before Al Pacino was cast? There's so many discussions every day now about AI that I read that as AI Pacino. I did not know that. What is your most anticipated movie of 2026? That's a good question. There's actually 3 of them. One of them is the one that we just talked about, the Masters of the Universe movie. I mean, we'll see what the trailer is like tomorrow, but I'd like to see that one. I'm actually looking forward to seeing Mortal Kombat 2 in May. And then I think in October, is when the Street Fighter movie comes out. Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, and Masters of the Universe. I don't know what horror movies are coming out this year, so there may be more. Have you seen the Chris Hemsworth movie Snow White and the Huntsman? I have not. The Batman Part 2 begins filming in March. I don't have as much time as I thought. I miss Liv and Dom together so much on WWE television. Well, give it a few weeks. Dom will be back. I'm sure he'll be in the Rumble. Do you think Shawn Michaels was the wrestler that had the best wrestling matches in 1996? Yes. Idris Elba, I think it's Alba. Idris Elba is playing Man-at-Arms in the Masters of the Universe movie. I saw that. I saw him in the teaser trailer. And he says, I hope you're having a wonderful week, Solomonster. Have a safe day today and a great week. You as well, Joseph. In case you couldn't tell from his avatar, Joseph is a big Dominic Mysterio fan. GMB. Funnier segments, Rock Hurricane or Austin Angle? Austin Angle. Austin Angle. Phil. I tuned into AEW for wrestling. I got John Moxley in another hardcore match instead. It's AEW now all extreme wrestling. I mean, they had a lot of other matches on the show, dude, that did not have broken glass and thumbtacks and bullshit. So it is not all extreme wrestling, but the garbage stuff they did in that match, it wasn't even needed. It wasn't even needed. Dried ribs and chicken. Every time I see Tekla, she's starting to remind me of Tiffany Valentine from Bride of Chucky. If only she was given a Chucky doll. Daniel Carlisto. Shout out. Said SO. Shout out to Taz. Breakdown of the title match. Well done. I liked it. I said I like that kind of stuff. We don't get enough of that on TV. I don't think. We got some more here. Let's see here. Let me reload this. I thought that was the end of them, but actually there's a bunch more here. Yeah, I jumped the gun. Let's go back. We got more, baby. We got more. Report, this is from Dubs Vids. Report, the inventor of the throat lozenges has died. Sadly, there will be no coffin at his funeral. Yeah, this guy. If at first you don't succeed, then skydiving probably is not for you. And what does a painter do when he gets cold? He puts on another coat. You're proud of that one, aren't you? I like the coffin one myself. Linklex, I'm sorry, but I just can't take Mina serious. You can't showboat that much while always eating the pin. Taz was right calling her a show-off. Maybe she's going heel soon. She loses all the fucking time. Like, it really is ridiculous. Duff's Vids, what's a dentist's favorite dance? The floss. Not a fan. Justin G, 14 months to go. Thanks, Solomonster. Thanks, chat. Yeah, 34 months of channel membership for Justin G. Thank you, brother. And thank you all, by the way, for all the... I got a lot of great feedback to RSPW Rewind. All you channel members got early access to it. And then everybody else got it starting yesterday, and people seem to love it. So at some point, we may have to float that out there again as another bonus goal. And maybe we'll get another installment. I'm going to start going through some more posts. See what I can find. Chicago for MBK. Hey, Solo, popping in to say that MJF is the best thing for AEW, even when not wrestling. When he was doing his promo, was he throwing shade at Drew and Punk with "This is the only belt that matters"? Yeah, I mean, I don't know that it wasn't specifically aimed at CM Punk or Drew McIntyre, but he's saying that, yeah, this championship, as far as all wrestling companies, is the only belt that matters. Of course, this is AEW, and we see, I don't even know how many championships on television, any given show, any given night, 10 at least. He could very well be referring to that. Of the 18 championships that we see on these shows, we'll see the CMLL title on Collision. That this is the most important one out of all of them, so that would also be true. Duff's Vids, I went to an emotional wedding last week. Even the cake was in tears. Fabian Garcia, fantasy book a triple main event WWE versus AEW Forbidden Door. Include Chad Gable. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. But I'll say this about Chad Gable, though. Chad Gable against almost anybody, honestly, on the AEW roster. Imagine Chad Gable and Will Ospreay. Chad Gable and Kenny Omega. Chad Gable and... Look at some of the people we had tonight. Kevin Knight, Swerve Strickland. Put him in there with any of those guys. Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin. That's a fucking match I'd like to see. You don't need anything else. Just have nonstop Chad Gable matches against all these other people that he's never been able to work with before. That'd be great. The Mount Vernon kid, Christopher Bennett. I gotta say right now, Solo, not a fan of beating champions. Yeah, you could say, but they're the trios champs, but they're still champions nonetheless. Well, I wasn't a fan of beating both of them in the same night. So I'm with you on that. Fabian says, could you see NXT borrowing the Ultimate X match for WrestleMania or SummerSlam weekend? No. No, I don't. I don't see them doing Ultimate X. Ultimate X that's a TNA thing. It should remain a TNA thing. I would not have TNA loaning one of their original match concepts to WWE. Christopher Bennett, getting sick of these constant Mina losses. Hey, Moran, welcome. Duff's Vid says, what word starts with D and ends with ick? Drumstick. We know where Duff's Vid's mind is at. Tuxedo T Servo, not sure which babyface turn feels more futile to me. Jack Perry or Wheeler Yuta? I have no Wheeler Yuta for sure. Nobody gives a shit. If he turns, nobody's going to care. Jack Perry does have people who actually, are fans of his and they wave their arms to his song when he comes out. But he says, I have no reason to like either of them. You really don't. You really don't. You have not been given a reason to like Jack Perry. He still comes out with a fucking knife when he comes out. And, he really got fucked over by Luchasaurus's injury now. I don't know how much we're going to be seeing him. And the Shoulder Demon. How legit were those 900 hotline numbers that WCW, ECW, and WWF did? Were they a work? Also, get ready for Mean, FKA, Evil. Oh, Mean, formerly known as Evil. They're going to call him Mean. It's too close to Mina. Can't call him that. How about Depressed? How's that for a fucking name for Evil if he comes to WWE? That's what I'll be when I see him on my TV screen. Yeah, I saw that same thing. I think it's Alvarez or whatever. They're saying that the belief is that he may be WWE bound. As far as the hotline numbers, it depends what you mean when you say were they legit. They worked. I used to call like the WWF one. I remember the one time I called that one. It was the 1994 King of the Ring. And I called the hotline, and it was all bullshit in that, at least when I called, you got what sounded like, there were some recordings, and it was not worth whatever they were billing you, $2.99 a minute or whatever it was. So, it was bullshit in that way, but they were real hotline numbers where you would call in, and it could be a wrestler talking about the match they just had, or it could be some scoop, some kind of news. In terms of that, that's what Mean Gene did a lot of. I guess Jim Ross did too on the WWF line, but like Mean Gene would have these scoops, you know, a wrestler from the other organization who might be coming over to WCW, and he wouldn't really give you a whole lot of information. Like that type of shit wouldn't work today. It would not. Like that would be the equivalent of a tweet from like WrestleOps today, taking a piece of news from the Observer or Fightful, and you just, it's for free on your timeline, right? But Mean Gene would charge you like fucking $4.99 a minute, you know, for something that was not worth $4.99 a minute. But apparently his hotline was a moneymaker for WCW. It was actually very successful for them, so good for him. Brandon Proctor. Congrats on 90K, Brother Solo. Missed it the other night, but here's to 100. Thank you. Thank you, Brandon. Justin G, just stalling for light. Well, where are we on likes? How sad is it that for the AEW streams, though, you got to stall? And the goal was even lower. Sad. Very sad. But we are currently at 355 likes, so we will have the one round of Be the Booker coming up here in a moment. But first, we have GMB says, would you rather see more heel Cody or heel Bianca? Heel Cody. I'd like to see them both, but Bianca's going to come back. She's gone almost a year. She's got to be babyface. Heel Cody. All right, there you go. So we are currently at 360-ish likes. Even the TNA streams seem to do better than the AEW ones. Disappoints me as an AEW fan. Well, hey, such is the state of things with the AEW stuff. They got to up their game. Well, I'll do it for them. We'll up their game for them because I'm going to be the booker for all of you. So let's do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to be the booker.
There we go. No, I don't think the TNA stream, and I'm not doing one, but I don't think the TNA stream would be doing what it did last week. That was more of a curiosity thing. And much like the ratings, after the first episode, things will go down. The only question is by how much. I will check out the second episode, though, and I will talk about it on the Sound Off this weekend. I want to compare any improvements and changes they've made from week 1 to week 2. I did not like hardly anything that I saw in week 1, and I find it impossible to believe that they will not fix some things and improve upon that, including the production, I hope. So we'll see what week 2 brings, but talk about that on Sunday. We have Billy and we have Chuck. Now I want you to think about this. That man right there on the left, Billy Gunn, was announced tonight as having a match on Collision on Saturday. He is still active. He is still going. Billy and Chuck are going to take on the Ultimate Maniacs, Randy Macho Man Savage, and the Ultimate Warrior. And based on his feud with Goldust in 1996, I feel like the Warrior would have some very unflattering things to say about Billy and Chuck. And we'll leave it at that. Women's Be the Booker. Mina and Mariah want to make this a three-way match. A three-way match. So we got to book a triple threat. Naft Gaming says, I never knew that team existed. Oh, it existed. It was only a few weeks. And then Warrior got fired, but they existed. We have Melina. We have Emma. Oh, boy. We have Cora Jade. Although now she's going by Elena Black. Melina, Emma, and Cora. No, thank you. And the tiebreaker. This is it. It all comes down to this. Fuck. Oh, man. We have The Miz. We have The Miz. Be the Booker has been repossessed by the Repo Man. And very appropriate. Actually, this was like a mercy killing. Is really what this was. We had a mercy killing. Repo Man has repossessed Be the Booker, and it is over. A very appropriate conclusion, I would say. A very slow night here in Be the Booker. Yeah, no, Repo Man did not want to see that Miz match. That's right. He did not want to see that Miz match. So there it is. You wanted it. You got it. You never know where it's going to land. That's all I got for you. I tried to entertain you. I hope I did my my very best. I did what I could. We will be back. Hopefully a more exciting show to talk about on Friday. We have SmackDown. 3 hours of SmackDown. We have SmackDown on Friday night. And then I will be live for Saturday night's main event, the post show. That'll be Saturday night. And then, of course, you get the brand new Sound Off episode coming up on Sunday. That'll be episode 948. And if you missed the first RSPW rewind in over 3 years, go check it out. It's getting some high praise and lots of laughs right now on the channel. I heard that Steve Austin was actually very excited about Be the Booker.
Stone Cold Steve Austin has come.
Oh, he was super excited. Stone Cold approved. So go check out Be the Booker. Or not Be the Booker. Don't check out Be the Booker. Go check out RSPW. I'm getting my segments mixed up. I'm going to get out of here. Be well. Stay safe. Have yourselves a great rest of your evening. And come on back Friday night for the SmackDown post show. Until then, take care, guys.